Can it? Is it looking at me?
I've seen prehistoric analog horror of all kinds, but few have generally made me as uneasy as this. This analog horror is actually a series called Prehistoric Emergence by AzunStudios. Hope I said that right. The creator of this series is heavily underrated considering just how good the content is, so show him some love on his channel. Ever since I started creating some of those analog horror thumbnails recently, a lot of people have been asking me to review this one, and here I am. A month late, but here nonetheless. Like I said, it's a series and has 6 different videos, but I'll be covering the most recent one uploaded, which is basically the apocalypse. Like, some of the things happening in this episode resemble what happened in the Bible in Egypt, when Pharaoh refused to release the Lord's people, giant prehistoric insects that caused famine, and hundreds of thousands of grizzly bear-sized pterosaurs straight up murking people in broad daylight. I'll review the other episodes sometime in the future. I know it sounds stupid seeing as I'm not reviewing it from the beginning, but I wanted to go over the latest episode because it's my favorite out of the set, and I'm currently ill and don't feel like editing a 40+ minute long video, which is how long the vid would be if I covered it all today. Anyway, in various parts of the world, prehistoric animals from different time periods have started to reappear through stuff like caves and other natural earth openings. Some, believe it or not, appear to have a positive impact on the world, while majority act as some sort of punishment for humanity through supernatural means. Because I can almost assure you, a good chunk of these aren't natural prehistoric animals. However, even when some of the good ones come back to the present, they are rewarded in the same way humanity always rewards something: exploitation. The Anomalocaris that feeds on the larval stage of these wood-eating worms that were costing billions of dollars in damages are now being caught in large numbers to be sold as food at restaurants. And as we get a report of this from AzunNews, which covers the Prehistoric Emergence, the screen starts to glitch and a voice says, "You have sinned." And the text "human greed" pops up. Some sort of otherworldly force is bringing these animals back and seems to be testing humanity, yet we still managed to disappoint it. After that episode, everything went from DEFCON 1 to 5 real quick. We have full-on deliberate invasions of different animals that are in some way affecting humanity negatively, and most of it somewhat leads back to this statue called Quetzalcoatl, but I'll get into that later. In the newest episode, we see one of the officers from GPAC, which stands for the Global Prehistoric Association Commission, walking through a snowy forest in a rural area looking for an unidentified animal, and at some point he hears an off-putting call of something, and someone over the walkie-talkie confirms that the animal is in his area, so he books it. And instead of getting inside of a car like a normal person, he decides to turn his back and stare into the pitch black forest to see if he can see the creature. In the long run he couldn't, but it sure did see him. A uncanny looking T-Rex walks behind him without making a sound, somehow getting behind him just watching the officer. The T-Rex starts to open its jaws very slowly and the screen starts to glitch. This T-Rex has actually been stalking residents in Montana and has been somewhat known for its unusual behavior. It hasn't taken any human lives but was still a major concern, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a T-Rex for crying out loud. But there is definitely something off about this Rex. It has the ability to cause glitches in cameras or any other recording equipment, and seems to know when it's being watched, no matter where you are. And this isn't exclusive to this animal alone, by the way. A lot of the creatures in this series cause glitches in recording equipment when filmed. GPAC did successfully neutralize the T-Rex at the cost of 2 soldiers who were killed. The animal was also known by the residents as Daba, which translates to Beast of the Earth, and later on in this video you'll see why the so-called T-Rex fits that name. However, GPAC has bigger things to worry about for the time being, as they had to launch phase 1 of a campaign to deal with the mass Quetzalcoatlist migration. These pterosaurs decided to suddenly travel to the Western Hemisphere and pose a threat to citizens all across the United States. During the campaign they claimed that they have killed almost 20,000 of these pterosaurs. However, it's a very expensive operation and has forced GPAC to place a 10% tariff on all member nations. Despite this, in just the first week, almost 1,000 soldiers lost their lives trying to put down these airborne menaces. It's gotten so bad that the scientists say that this war could easily last for years on end, costing more than $1 trillion to continue. And to make matters worse, these pterosaurs started to surge in number, with their population pushing more than 500,000. GPAC manages to make some difference though, as there were no Quetzalcoatlus seen in cities such as Washington and Pittsburgh since. Yet there are still reports of pterosaurs in the area, and from this blurry camera shot it has the overall shape of a Quetzalcoatlus, yet the head crest is bigger. We then cut to AzunNews, where a reporter called Corbin Brenner is doing a story live in Buffalo, New York. His report is cut short though when an off-putting shriek is heard from the skies and he instructs his crew to just leave the camera and run. Then we finally get to see what the residents in these areas have been seeing. It wasn't a Quetzalcoatlus, but something much worse, a Hasicopteryx. They are bigger and more durable than the Quetzalcoatlus. The US East Coast suddenly got invaded by these pterosaurs, seemingly out of the blue, and started attacking people. Their numbers and power proved to be a challenge for even GPAC, as they required more bullets to put down. From GPAC's claim, they first arrived in Romania, nesting in remote areas to avoid human detection, yet started this mass migration during the midst of the Azdarkade War, which is something GPAC acknowledges isn't a coincidence that can be overlooked. Remember that statue I told you about, Quetzalcoatl? Well, it's heavily mentioned in Mexican folklore, and is said to have been a feathered serpent that is a creator god. From tales passed on from generation to generation, this deity is said to have created humanity and aided in making the earth. Some main tasks associated with this entity were agriculture, wind, rain, the overall well-being of the planet. From early episodes when this statue is first shown or featured, it causes serious glitches and disruptions. We can see the face of Quetzalcoatl ominously appear slowly in the background. This deity, from my interpretation, is the cause for all of these events, and the Azdarkade attacks kind of solidify it, because as GPACs themselves said, it's after the Hasagopteryx population that were in hiding for the most part suddenly started a mass migration when GPAC forces started to make a dent in the Quetzalcoatlus population. It's almost as though Sub 1 or something sent them as backup, or to take over the places where the Quetzalcoatlus are now absent, since it's said to be a feathered serpent capable of flight. These pterosaurs aren't snakes per se or have feathers, but they are reptiles and have hair-like filaments that resemble feathers in a way. Their sudden mass attack on the United States may have just been a glimpse as to what's to come, like sending out some sort of pest control. However, there's a reason Quetzalcoatlus is also heavily associated with agriculture, as we'll soon see. In France, a terrifyingly large insect has taken over the country, the Megaura. My fellow ARK players will know this creature well as a good source of chitin when first trying to get the Pteranodon saddle. However, in this timeline they're a serious threat. GPAC claims that they likely won't attack people unless provoked, but regardless, a dragonfly with a 2-foot wingspan is something no one wants to see, and it's advised that windows and doors are kept closed at all times. Do you guys remember that video of a dragonfly trying to bite a man's finger, but he couldn't break the skin? Well, I'm almost certain that these Megaura could take your finger off. What makes them a major threat is the fact that they specifically only eat species that control pest populations. They consume spiders, frogs, and modern dragonflies. This cost France hundreds of millions of dollars in the agriculture sector as the pest population exploded. Due to that and people not wanting to take the chance of a hawk-sized dragonfly flying in their face, tourism has gone to an all-time low. Their specific prey choice, like the pterosaurs, can't be coincidence. I'm pretty sure that with their size there's a lot more things that they can eat, like locusts and even rats. Yet they specifically target spiders, frogs, and dragonflies. This could once again be due to Quetzalcoatl influencing these animals and their habits. As a deity heavily associated with agriculture, I'm sure it's pissed off with the way humans have treated the planet. And just like the pterosaur attacks, this devastation of human crops could be another stage of something much bigger that's soon to come. And at the end of this episode, we see that something could be the size of a kaiju with supernatural abilities. In the Bible, God punished Pharaoh for his pride, since he refused to let his people go. So God sent plagues, famine, and brimstone down to the city. These Megaura could be the start of said famine and even disease, as today's dragonflies are one of the main predators of mosquitoes. The Azdarkades could possibly be like brimstone falling from the sky, but they directly target people, evil or innocent, unless of course in later episodes asteroids just start falling from the sky. Not saying that these incidents are linked to the Bible, but a few of the events are somewhat similar. However, GPAC has produced a solution for these Megaura. A bad solution, but one nonetheless, I guess. They have brought about a pesticide that kills any insect the Megaura's size are larger. However, it's gotten a lot of backlash because it's not stated what exactly is in the pesticides and how they affect humans. Now, this was reported before the Megaura incident, but I just wanted to cover the relation between the pterosaur and hellspawn insects. In the Toronto Zoo, an investigation has been launched due to health concerns and has been closed indefinitely. A strange illness has been spreading around the zoo staff, and is thought to have been the same one that killed Umpi, a mammoth that once called Toronto Zoo home. Some big shareholders of the zoo fabricated a false diagnosis saying that tuberculosis was the cause of Umpi's death, so whatever illness killed the mammoth is probably what most of the zoo staff have. This could be some prehistoric virus or even bacterium that was prominent during the time of the mammoth and old humans. Prehistoric Zoo covered this recently on his channel, different diseases that wiped out a good portion of the early human populations during the Pleistocene epoch. While most animals can't spread their diseases to humans via air, there are a few that can do this, and if this is in fact something that was dormant inside of Umpi that is now infecting the zoo staff, a possible health crisis may be on the way. In other news, a baby mammoth called Umpi Jr. was set loose by an anonymous zookeeper. As for the motives, there's only two I can think of. The most probable cause being that the zookeeper was some sort of activist that believed that the zoo was responsible for the adult mammoth's death and wanted to free Umpi Jr. to save him in quotation marks. Or that zookeeper possibly knows that these animals have some sort of infection that can be spread and released it into the public, but that's very unlikely, I just gave what I thought could be the reasons. You guys could let me know in the comments what you think. A lot of people are calling the baby mammoth cute, but I'm sorry, some of the shots, especially this one, make it look very creepy. With that said, the infant mammoth is a lot better than the saber-toothed assassins that are killing people in Brazil. Recently, a 25-year-old woman was found with bite marks on her home while she was looking for her cat. In the security camera, we see the creature responsible was a Smilodon populator. For whatever reason, she decided to leave the door open until her cat came back inside. Now I'm sorry, but if my cat has been out there for so long while I've been calling him, and there's prehistoric predators just popping up all over the globe, that little fella could find his own way back inside. The saber-tooth had been watching her for some time and could have been the reason for her cat's disappearance. The moment she enters the kitchen or far enough away so she couldn't close the door or try to run away, it enters through the door and balls the young woman. Smilodon populator did actually live in Brazil, but in this universe they're kind of small, weighing only 400 pounds. That didn't make them any less deadly though. These Smilodon were spreading through Brazil in both rural and urban areas, posing a massive threat to the residents. GPAC has since reached out and has been patrolling major cities, but more rural areas don't have this aid. And with urban areas now basically being inaccessible to the Smilodon, they would all now focus on the areas without protection. This has been caught on by the cartel, who now sell illegal firearms to communities without GPAC's protection, and has overall strengthened these criminal organizations. It doesn't stop there though. The openings where most of these things come out from are starting to get more numerous, and some are even having terrifying effects on the planet itself. For example, those openings in the oceans have raised the sea levels by 6 inches, and with more likely to form, this will only get higher as time goes on. GPAC tells citizens to stay calm and not to worry, and that humanity has always adapted to whatever Mother Nature has thrown at us. But as the narrator in the Walking with Beasts series said at the end,
and if all this has taught us anything, it's this: no species lasts forever.
In other news, the T-Rex they allegedly neutralized is actually alive and is being kept in a military base where it's being housed with a few more animals. The lead scientist looking at this animal is Adrian Holloway, who calls the place Paradise Ranch. He's enamored with the animal, stating that it has extra padding on its feet, more than that of what a normal T-Rex was thought to have, which allows the animal to move in complete silence. When they weighed the animal, it was over 16,000 pounds, which is big, but there's one massive and horrifying problem. That T-Rex is an infant. That's right, not a subadult, not a juvenile, a infant. It's basically what the baby T-Rexes were on Prehistoric Planet. Ever since its capture, it hasn't slept once, and it takes an unholy amount of sedatives to even capture it. And as I said from the beginning, the animal causes electrical issues wherever it is, flickering monitors, recording camera malfunctions, and the light going on and off. And at the end of all of that, we get this.
Can it? Is it? Looking at me?
That's right, like some supernatural entity, it's able to see the doctor through the camera, look at him, and then utter one chilling word: human. Now we don't know what happens after this because the camera glitches and goes dark. I don't care what anyone says, that is not a dinosaur. This 6 to 6 million year old animal somehow understands human language and can manipulate electronics. Either the T-Rex itself has some sort of higher sentience, or something is speaking through the animal. Now, if that's just the infant and it's more than 8 tons, then I'm assuming at the bare minimum its mommy and daddy are each 50 tons or more, and that's honestly lowballing it. The thing could have possibly approached the weight of the largest animals on the planet when fully grown, and this infant may be just a glimpse as to what's about to enter this world. True Goliaths will soon walk on this earth, along with whatever else has not been discovered by GPAC yet, since these openings are appearing more frequently than ever. And if this is really something to do with Quetzalcoatl, then things are about to get a whole lot worse. So that's my review on AzunStudios' Prehistoric Emergence. 10 out of 10 honestly. The animations and overall design of the animals really do add to the horror aspect. Can't wait to see what's about to happen in the newest episode. So go check the guy out and show some support. As for me, I'll be closing the blinds and locking every door. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Så ofte skriver en drøm som plutselig også skal.